Tonight, President John Dramani Mahama under fire from within as he faces backlash from his own ranks over government's inaction on Galamsey.
But for the next 3 weeks, you flush them out for 3 weeks, they won't come back.
But if this will work, I'm sure you're not the only one who knows. The army hierarchy may probably know this. Why haven't we done that?
Well, you have your commander-in-chief. Why hasn't he thought about that?
More from the former senior presidential aide and NDC stalwart, Dr. Tony Aidoo, who is calling for decisive action from government to deal with the crisis. We have details here on Top Story. My name is Fostina. Sarfo. Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies. Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Tonight, a leading member of the governing NDC and a former senior presidential aide, Dr. Tony Aidoo, has criticized government over its handling of the Galamsey crisis. Dr. Tony Aidoo expressed disappointment that government has not deployed the military to take decisive action against illegal mining operations, which have been causing significant environmental damage and posing health risk to communities. Speaking exclusively to Joy News, Dr. Tony Aidoo called for tougher measures to combat the Galamsey menace. The government, if you recall, over the last 6 months has rolled out several interventions to crack down on Galamsey, with its latest move being attempts to track all excavators and earth-moving equipment on mining sites. Let's listen to the Lands Minister, Emmanuel Amakofibwa.
The Ghana Revenue Authority plays a pivotal role in this process. Custom officers at all designated ports of entry have been instructed only to allow clearance and gate out all earth-moving and mining equipment when approved import permit is presented and endorsed by both the Ministry of Transport and the Commissioner General. Furthermore, a special clearance code is being developed within the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, to track these permits and ensure accountability at every stage. Madam Speaker, once clearance is granted by the above institutions and the equipment is gated out from the port, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority assigns a special identification number plate, distinguishable from the conventional number plates. Normally it's in a green color. The inscription on the number plate is green printed on a white background. Speaker, to ensure that we have eyes on the movement of each earth-moving and mining equipment, tracking as required under LI 2404, each registered equipment is fitted with a tamper-proof GPS tracker. This tamper-proof will make sure that anytime you tamper with it, it will go along in the operations room. Managed by a centralized equipment monitoring and control room, currently set up and operated by personnel of the Minerals Commission. Since this system was put in place, 150 of these excavators have gone through the tracking system at the Minerals Commission.
But the former senior presidential aide says President Mahama should consider using military force to flush out illegal miners who are devastating the environment.
The military can be used for more important things, that is destroying our country. We feed the soldiers, we clothe them, we put them in houses. What for? Why is illegal mining going on? Where is the military? That's what they should do. Our territorial integrity is being attacked. That is what we set up the military for, not for internal security. 2 months ago, I don't know whether it was on Mansa Musa's program or on one of our local TV networks, but I said, and I'm happy that my opinion was echoed by Nyaho Tamaklu only last week. All you need is to deploy 2 battalions, 1,000 men, supported by 2 platoons of engineers regiment, 30, 1,060 people. And you can flush all these illegal miners out of our forests.
Really?
Oh yes, because they move. At every spot where you clear, you leave 50 men to come there. 3 weeks, that's all you need. And that deployment would ensure that these people leave our waters and our forests alone.
How long will the 50 men be stationed there?
3 weeks. They are deployed for 3 weeks. That's all you need.
And after 3 weeks, the Galamseyans won't come back?
No, they won't, because they wouldn't know that you have to move out. But for the next 3 weeks, you flush them out for 3 weeks, they won't come back.
But if this will work, I'm sure you're not the only one who knows. The army hierarchy may probably know this. Why haven't we done that?
Well, you have your commander-in-chief. Why hasn't he thought about that? If the goodwill that the people of Ghana gave the NDC is going to be dissipated, it will have to be the inaction on Galamsey issues.
Well, this is coming in the wake of renewed pressure from civil society organizations for government to expand the scope of investigations into politically exposed persons involved in illegal mining. Let's listen to Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. He's convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining.
The Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we had written to His Excellency the President wanting to meet him. And then he had asked that we meet the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources first. So that meeting was had. And in that meeting, one of the major causes of Galamsey that we wanted the government to deal with was the issue of politically exposed persons who are involved in Galamsey. And we all know, and especially for us, the Media Coalition, it's a matter of side knowledge that a lot of the Galamsey is done by politically exposed persons. And so this call from the Attorney General is not coming from a vacuum. It's definitely coming from all the pressure that had been put together by the coalition and other people on this particular issue. And so I am happy that at least we've had this call and it's an investigation that is supposed to be done. And not only that, it's also calling for those mentioned in Professor Frimpong-Boate's report. It's one of the things we've always been talking about. Then also, we would want to remind the Attorney General and then also the state apparatus that we have a petition against the NDC MP for our win.
Okay.
He was being accused by his chiefs of being involved in Galamsey. He says it's not true. He counter-accuses the chiefs. That also needs to be looked at.
Okay.
There's also the issue of the NDC constituency chairperson for Axim, who is also being accused of involved in Galamsey, trespassing on the land of some large-scale miners. There is also the NDC constituency chairperson for Dunkwa. He was accused on, and it was live on Joy FM when Erastus, one of the Erastus, where he was confronting a legally mandated task force who had gone in to deal, asking that he's not being informed and all of that.
Right.
So all of these politically exposed persons need to be dealt with.
Okay.
If we want to really resolve the issue of Galamsey, the illegality and irresponsibility, we need to make sure we're doing this.
Well, let's get on the phone lines now and speak to coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens, Awola Sewa. We also have on the phone line security analyst Professor Kwesi Enin, as well as the vice chairperson of the Defence and Interior Committee in Parliament, Peter Tobu. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. Let me start with you, Awola Sewa. So far, based on your analysis of this new administration's fight against illegal mining, how would you rate their performance?
So what I would say is that the demands we made in the run-up to the elections have been met. We asked for a targeted state of emergency. That has not happened. The president himself now acknowledges that Ghana is facing a national emergency. So I'm sure that very soon he will declare a state of emergency to remove the environmental terrorists from our water bodies and our forests. Remember, they have declared war on Ghana. Wasting water bodies is a war crime. And we asked for LI 2462 to be repealed. This has not happened. We asked for all persons named in Professor Frimpong-Boate's report to be investigated. It's now that the Attorney General has so directed. We asked for a pause in community mining because so many, or small-scale mining, so many licenses were being issued. And the monitoring regime is pretty weak. I can't say that we are happy with what is being done because we face an existential threat. We are on the verge of a catastrophe, rising kidney disease, maternal deaths, deformed babies, contaminated food. What are we waiting for? So I'm saying that there's much, much, much more to be done. And it's good news that we now want to investigate persons who are supposedly involved in illegal mining. But as Kenneth said, we have mentioned other people. So everybody mentioned, whether politically exposed or not, whether from this administration or the past administration, should be investigated and prosecuted if need be.
We've been hearing from Dr. Tony Aidoo, a stalwart in the NDC, suggesting that we should deploy the military rather in dealing with this menace. Do you support that? A more forceful response should be adopted.
You see, if we are going to declare a state of emergency, we're expecting the military to go there. What are the military doing? We are at war. The environmental terrorists have declared war on us. But I don't believe in shoot to kill. What I believe the terms of reference should be, go to the hotspots, forest reserves, wherever they are, water bodies, and remove the environmental terrorists and their equipment. You don't go with the intention of killing. But of course, if they open fire, or if you have to kill to defend yourself, so be it. But that's not your primary aim. Your primary aim is to go to the hotspots and remove the environmental terrorists. Of course, you need your armed forces. How else are you going to deal with this matter? They are environmental terrorists. Some of them are highly armed. The Blue Water Guards cannot help you. You really need robust measures to deal with this existential threat.
Really? Knowing that government is yet to deliver that state of emergency verdict, which you, civil society, have been pushing for all this while, how would you rate the performance from the scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest?
Well, I'm very hesitant to do that, but I am rather interested in saying what our demands were and showing that they haven't been met so that your listeners can draw their own conclusion. We have not declared a state of emergency. We have not kept our promise to repeal LI 2462. We've amended it, which does not help us because you still have unfettered access to the forest reserve. Even as far back as, I think, May this year, an entry permit was issued to a forest reserve. We have not, it's now that we are going to supposedly investigate those named in Professor Boateng's report. So if you look at the demands we made and you look at those that have been met, I think we can all draw our own conclusions. Not enough has been done. We don't seem to realize that we face an existential threat. The good news is that it seems to have now dawned on the president. So hopefully in the days to come, he will declare a state of emergency. And let me say very, very quickly that it would seem that those fighting illegal mining are those who are sometimes quickly arrested. For example, you have activists in Atronsu who are fighting illegal mining, fighting to protect the Atronsu stream. They rather have been criminally charged, and before that, being made to go to the court time after time, and the police hadn't finished with their investigations. So we are calling on the IGP to investigate this case and to drop all charges against the Atronsu activists. This will show that we are all interested in fighting illegal miners, and not rather siding with the illegal miners and arresting and prosecuting the activists.
Stay with me. Let me bring in the Vice Chairperson of the Defence and Interior Committee in Parliament, Peter Tobu. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. You're in a position to directly influence policy. Do you agree with Dr. Tony Aidoo that indeed government has failed to act decisively when it comes to illegal mining?
Thank you very much. And let me take this opportunity to say good evening to your cherished listeners. Illegal mining has become an existential threat, and we all know that. It has threatened our nation's very foundation. I think that the answer is very clear in this Constitution. If you go to Article 83 of the 1992 Constitution, the national security is composed in such a way that when something threatens the very existence of the nation, you activate the national security structure. It is chaired by the President, and the Vice President is a member. We have ministers from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in Defense, Interior, Finance. It is for a purpose that the National Security Council is constituted like this. If we reduce this fight to just a security fight, you'll be thinking that it is a police duty. This is not a law enforcement matter. You'll be thinking that it is a military duty. This is not just a matter of defense. It is a national security matter, and the whole structure within Article 83 must be looked at. That the finance minister will have a role to play. There are a lot of foreigners getting into Galamsey. The Minister of Foreign Affairs will have a role to play. In fact, there is a lot of crime involved. The Interior Minister will have a role to play. So this is, in fact, it's a multifaceted approach that we have to look at. And we have to activate Article 83 in the Constitution. I think that we have a way out. The truth is that if you put 10,000 soldiers on the ground and put 10,000 police officers on the ground, are you going to keep them there forever? You are dealing with the security aspect of the matter. But the matter of Galamsey is not just only security. There are several other matters. It is a matter of economy, it's a matter of survival, and all these young people who are in there, can we get to a point that we can actually get them out of our forest bodies and get them out of our water bodies and find a way to let them mine legally, so that at least the mining can go on without destruction to water bodies? Is it possible? If that is possible, that will be an innovation that will end the war against illegal mining.
Where you sit, you do not support full-scale military deployment to mining sites. Is that the case?
Full-scale military deployment or security deployment to mining sites is just one leg of the treatment that we'll be looking at. If you do that and within a month, are you expecting them to be there forever? The day that the military will leave, the miners will go back. So we need to find a way that if the soldiers are deployed within 6 months, let's have a plan. 6 months, nobody will go to the mine because the soldiers will be there. Within that 6 months, behind the scene, a lot needs to happen to ensure that after the operational period, if we are returning to mining, we are returning to mining decently. If we are allowing the young people to go back to mining, we are allowing them to go back under regulations. If not, the soldiers remain there forever, and that is not also a possibility.
But what concrete steps are you taking, especially as a key member of the Defense and Interior Committee, to push for stronger enforcement and accountability? For example, civil society, they've been calling for a declaration of a state of emergency. That hasn't happened. They're also calling for the repealing of that controversial LI that allows mining in forest reserve. That still hasn't happened.
The truth is that government is on course, and I think that the president is a listening president. And with time, if it is very crucial, and the president believes that where we have gotten to, declaring a state of emergency is what will give me the results, President John Dramani Mahama will not hesitate in doing that. But let's move forward cautiously. The truth is that our water bodies are getting destroyed. The truth is that the young people are frustrated, and the national security strategy says it clearly that youth unemployment is the greatest national security threat to our nation. There is a multiple problem within this whole cohort. We need to do the best that we can to solve the problem with a multiple approach, not just looking at it as a security problem.
But then, don't you think it's already time for the declaration of a state of emergency, especially looking at the extent of damage?
Well, I don't think that we just declare state of emergency because of an extent of damage. There are a lot of things that we consider in the matter before a nation can say we are declaring a state of emergency. A state of emergency comes with a lot. Sometimes you can even you will not be able to manage the excesses when we declare a state of emergency. But I'm saying that if the National Security Council reviews the situation and believes that it's appropriate and it's timely for them to declare a state of emergency, I think that the major structures will be put in place such that when the state of emergency is declared, we will not cry of excesses.
And there's already growing frustration that political interests are protecting illegal miners. Is Parliament really ready to break that cycle?
Parliament is very ready to support the executive to succeed in our fight against illegal mining. It is a menace, it is destructive, it is dangerous, and we can't do anything apart from thinking about succeeding in the war against illegal mining. Nobody can be complicit in this matter if you really love Ghana. Let's do it together.
Let's do it together, you say. But then the one thing that Parliament can do to fix the challenge, they are failing to do, repealing that controversial LI 2462 that allows mining in forest reserve. First, when you were in opposition, you told us that it is something you're considering. Now you're in power and you're amending it. Why exactly?
Great. It's a very good question. But even the private member cannot amend a bill of that nature. A private member cannot call for repealing. So we believe that as we are talking, whatever the government has done in the past, looking at the amendment, If it is working well, let's go ahead. If it is not working and it is important for us to repeal that whole law, I think that the executive led by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, on whose domain Galamsey is operating, will come back to this house, and Parliament will be willing to do exactly what the executive brings along for us to support them do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tobu. Stay with me. Let me bring in Kwesi in at this point in time as we expand the conversation here. He is a security analyst. We've just been hearing from Vice Chairperson of the Defense and Interior Committee, and he's concerned that we can't manage the excesses if indeed we declare a state of emergency. Professor Kwesi, what's your response to that? Is that the case?
No, I think I agree with him 100%. I think people are using phrases and terminology for which they have no clue. A state of emergency basically means that we are willing and prepared to give up some of our rights as citizens and allow the military and intelligence services to take control of the whole raft of day-to-day decisions, because we have decided that we cannot respond to the Galamsey or any problem through normal process. So this is not something that we declare overnight, because some people just think it is fancy. Not only that, in this country, we declare curfews, we renew them routinely, because there's this laziness to want to come to grips with why things are the way they are. I mean, where the institutions work properly, where leaders to lead and to demand performance, we don't need extraordinary measures, and certainly never a state of emergency. I don't think people understand what that implies. So I think that we can put on the back bench. What we can do is to declare Galamsey as an existential threat. That gives the police, the Gold Board, and other institutions the right to act effectively. And it does also not mean establishing a new task force with policing powers without reporting to the IGP. We cannot have multiple institutions that have policing powers but not the responsibility, and then oversight framework. So what Galamsey is a problem and a threat to our very existence, we should be careful that in responding to that threat, that we don't place ourselves in even more trouble. So let's begin by identifying who are the enablers of these criminal acts. What are the organized criminal organizations, both within Ghana, Europe, and elsewhere, that are feeding off this illegality? And then let's use the tools that we have at our disposal. Look, we've implemented multiple interventions that have basically just benefited people. Operation Vanguard has been a terrible disaster. Likewise, other anti-Galamsey initiatives. Look, let's as a nation be bold enough to say, this is a threat, this is the way we need to deal with it, and those who have been given the power to deal with it, when they fail, let's see them put before a court of competent jurisdiction and thrown into prison. That will serve as a deterrent for all this an attempt at self-enrichment whilst we talk about fighting Galamsey.
And then we've heard from the president publicly tell us that this is a national emergency. This administration have tried to fix the problem by protecting our water bodies with the launch of the Blue Water Guard. But we're wondering how effective that would be. Should this be the right time to implement full-scale military deployment, especially to mining sites?
Well, the water guards or whatever will not work because they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the training, they don't have the skill sets. I mean, this is just empty sloganeering with people wearing fancy t-shirts and fancy trousers. This is not what we need. I think we need a multi-stakeholder approach. The military's approach should be the absolute last resort. Look, we have a tendency to use our armed forces for the wrong thing. Carrying the bags of lawyers, getting involved in local conflicts where the police and other institutions ought to have been involved, so that we have stripped our armed forces of that shock and awe presence. That they are now perceived as a routine law enforcement agent. And that is the case. If we take Boko, for example, the military were set in way too early instead of authorizing and enabling the police service to do the work. Now, the police have almost been driven out of Boko. The army is now the last bastion protecting Boko from utter chaos. I've warned against this for several years. We shouldn't do the same mistake with the Galamsey. We have institutions, they have their vision, mission, and mandate. If those who lead those institutions cannot deliver, Dear Excellency, sack them because they are not helping your reset agenda. And we will love you even more for that.
Thank you so much.
Incompetence as the fulcrum around which public policy and implementation are done must end now.
Thank you so much, Professor Kwesi, a security analyst. Join us here on Top Story. Let me wrap up with Awola Sewa. Your final thoughts. You've heard from both government and then Professor Kwesi telling us to hasten slowly when it comes to the declaration of a state of emergency. Your final words.
Well, I don't know how slowly we want to go. We face an existential threat. We're being poisoned. I think it's slightly patronizing to say that people don't know what they mean when they are asking for a state of emergency. How long do you want to wait till every single Ghanaian is poisoned? Of course, it's a multifaceted approach, but a state of emergency is vital. We are being poisoned. And once we have the political will and we decide not to interfere, and of course, there'll be other measures. But when we talk about livelihood, let's try and realize that the Peasant Farmers Association tells us that 2.5 million peasant farmers are at risk of losing their livelihood as a consequence of illegal mining. Our exports are at risk. Very soon they will not take our cocoa. And if we don't sit up and declare a state of emergency, by the time we decide to do so, we will have become like part of America, where even the army can't go to certain areas. So I think we should know that people not just at the first instance set a state of emergency. It's been well thought out. The window of opportunity is closing. We've all accepted that we face an existential threat, a national emergency. And it's about high time we declare the state of emergency and we stop this canker. That doesn't mean that other measures are not going to be taken. But I'm glad he has acknowledged that the blue water can't do anything. We really need to act now before the window of opportunity closes. How much longer do we want?
So much, Awola Sewa. She is co-coordinator for Eco Conscious Citizen. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. My name is Fostina. Sarfo. Up next is Newsnight with Kenneth, Gyasi.
Good evening. Welcome to Newsnight. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, minority MPs walk out of Parliament after what they describe as inconsiderate pressure from the majority leader to have the Akotia seat declared vacant following the death of the MP.
I regret to say that our side feel that issues that have been brought on this floor appears to be very insensitive. We are withdrawing from today's proceedings.
Immediately Mr. Speaker left, our colleagues on the other side decided to do the opposite of what Mr. Speaker did. That's very regrettable. That is very disrespectful to Mr. Speaker.
Coming up tonight, Chairman of Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Nochukotoi, pushes back against claims that the Scholarships Authority Bill is being rushed, insisting stakeholder consultations are still ongoing ahead of its passage. And also tonight, we ask, is the Office of the Special Prosecutor far short of its mandate? We find out after former senior presidential aide, Dr. Tony Aidoo, becomes the latest to take aim at the OSP, questioning its impact in combating corruption in the country.
And I don't trust the special prosecutor. He talks big. He talks small. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's a shame. Is he protecting them? Look at the mess he made of the Stalwart case.
And coming up in sports,
Chief of Staff Julius Deborah rallies corporate Ghana to embrace the Joy Sports Invitational as he commits to participate in the tournament slated for August 9.
And in business,
well, the Emergency Monetary Policy Committee meeting that is happening today will not result in a decision on a policy rate. We're getting you more details on that from the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
And a bit later in our Habitat series, we take you to Jamestown, where many residents live in homes without toilets, and some are forced to pay their landlords every time they need to ease themselves. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, don't go anywhere.
Small money day, big money day, where too much money day. Telecel Too Much Money promo drop. If you dial star 500 hash, then join them. For the Telecel Too Much Money promo inside, you will win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points with it make you win. Make you dial star 500 hash or go the Telecel Play App Top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA way they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
The Global Conference on Human Resources in Africa returns this August 13th to 16th. Join HR thought leaders, business executives, and technology enthusiasts for a 4-day immersive experience at the Kempinski Hotel. This year, we welcome back Johnny C. Taylor Jr., CEO and President of SHRM, Emily M. Dickens, Chief of Staff, and we welcome Andy Belado, SHRM CTO, and Nicole Herskowitz, Corporate VP of Microsoft 365 and Copilot. Of course, we are joined by our very own Dr. Francis Aduku, CEO of CIHRM Ghana, Honorable Dr. Abdul Rashid Palpua, Minister for Labor, Jobs and Employment Ghana, and many other global trailblazers. Attend and earn SHRM PDCs and CPDs from IHRM and HRMAU. For more information, visit gchrafrica.com or call plus 233-55408-1727. GCHRA is organized by KUSI Consulting and powered by SHRM. Sponsors and partners include Kempinski Hotel, CIHRM Ghana, IHRM Kenya, HRMAU Uganda, AHRPL Liberia, Adansi Travel, Senrap Consult, ICS Africa, Rwanda Air, and more to be announced. See you there.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You can join the conversation on our WhatsApp platform is 055 11 11 997. Well, tonight, the minority MPs in Parliament have, in the last hour, staged a walkout following fierce exchanges on the death of MP Fakutia Ernest Kumi and the imminent by-elections. Let's listen to Minority Leader Alexander Fenyomarkin.
Mr. Speaker, I regret to say that our side feel that the issues that have been brought on this floor appears to be very insensitive to us, and therefore we are withdrawing from today's proceedings. No problem.
Yes, Honorable Kwame Agboja.
Mr. Speaker, what the respected minority leader did is in total disrespect to the ruling or the comments made by Mr. Speaker before leaving the chair for you. Mr. Speaker admonished all of us to drop the issues and continue with today's business. Immediately Mr. Speaker left, our colleagues on the other side decided to do the opposite of what Mr. Speaker did. That's very regrettable. That is very disrespectful to Mr. Speaker, and that must be put on record.
Right, so all that you hear was triggered by comments made by Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga. Listen to what he says.
When we arrived at the family house, at the residence of the deceased, and we asked, they provided the clerk with details of the incident, the hospital where the incident occurred, and the time when the incident occurred. So, Mr. Speaker, we must pay attention. We must pay attention to the language of our Constitution and what it says. I am saddened by an attempt by my colleague, the minority leader, to create an impression that I am being insensitive, that there is a sudden haste to rush and have a by-election and etc. Mr. Speaker, I really have no interest beyond my fidelity to the Constitution and the language of the Constitution. When the Constitution says, when the clerk becomes aware, and I have gone with the clerk to the family house, and the family has informed both myself and the clerk, and informed the clerk of the hospital, informed him of the time, and informed him that the doctors there confirmed, and I was sitting there with him. Mr. Speaker, so, Mr. Speaker, if after all these facts occurring on national television, we can go for the tapes and the records where they inform myself, the clerk, the minority leader, and about 35 other members of parliament. They told us the hospital, the time, and then the confirmation by the doctors. Mr. Speaker, it is up to the clerk to follow up to the hospital and get the certification, because he's been told, so that he can do what constitutionally he is obliged to do. For the records, no one is being insensitive here. For the records, no one is in a haste. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I have seen posters put out by the NPP announcing the wife of the deceased as their parliamentary candidate in the by-election. Who is being insensitive here? I have seen posters announcing the wife of the deceased as their preferred parliamentary candidate in the constituency when we have not yet even performed the funeral of the deceased. So who is being insensitive? Who is being insensitive? Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is clear. The Constitution is clear in terms of the language, and that is why I am raising it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So that there is the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga. Let's bring in our resident correspondent in Parliament, Kweku Asante, who was there when all of this unfolded. Kweku, how did all this degenerate into a walkout?
Our listeners will recall that last week, Monday, when news broke that the Member of Parliament had died, the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, made an urgent statement on the floor, informing Parliament of sorts that the Member of Parliament had died. And in fact, at the time, he did make an appeal that because of the mood of the House, he did not expect that business would be transacted. The majority side agreed, and ultimately proceedings were brought to an end on that day. The next morning, the leadership of Parliament, both the minority and majority, together with the clerk, visited the family, at which event they confirmed the death of the Member of Parliament. It's been nearly 9 days since then, and so today, when the Speaker of Parliament himself took the chair after he had traveled outside the country for nearly 2 weeks, the majority leader sought to find out when exactly the Speaker of Parliament and the Clerk of Parliament will follow the constitutional dictates to inform the Electoral Commission of the vacancy having occurred more than a week ago. That was the statement the majority leader did make on the floor about an hour ago. The Speaker of Parliament ruled that despite the fact that everyone in the country knows that a Member of Parliament has died, they still have to wait for the family to officially write to Parliament with also a death certificate to inform the House that a Member of Parliament is dead. Then the majority leader gets up on his feet again and says, if you read the Constitution says the clerk to Parliament shall inform the Electoral Commission when he becomes aware of the death of a Member of Parliament. And that the Clerk of Parliament was part of the delegation from the House that went to the family of N.S. Yaokumi, at which event they occurred to them that a Member of Parliament had died. And so in his view, it appeared the constitutional provision had been satisfied and the clerk could proceed to inform the EC that a Member of Parliament had died so that there will not be a lacuna in Parliament as we speak. The minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, was on his feet to say that it appeared the majority leader only cared about the by-election and was being insensitive to the very sad nature of the news they are dealing with, having to do with the death of a colleague. And then the majority leader shot back. That is the sound you played a while ago, where the majority leader says, if anyone is to be said to be insensitive, it will be the NPP who allegedly have already started advertising the wife of the dead MP as his replacement. The minority did not take kind to this. In fact, the Speaker of Parliament was in a seat. He did say that this matter should be brought to a close. They should wait for the family. And then he left and then called the first Deputy Speaker to take the chair. And then we just saw the NPP MP started walking out upon the instructions of the leadership. Then the minority leader himself walked back in the chamber after everyone had walked out. And then he gets up on his feet and then says she has something to say. And then says, because of what they term the insensitive nature of the comments that have been made by the majority leader, they are unable to be part of the proceedings for today, and so they are withdrawing. And then he also finally withdraws. And then they later holds a news conference and then berate the minority leader for what they say is the insensitive commentary he has made about this. They do not understand his fixation on a by-election when their colleague is even yet to be buried.
As you can see, we just staged a walkout, and the reason is very simple. We are extremely sad and disappointed.
Very sad.
By the very insensitive nature of the majority leader and leader of this parliament. The majority leader found today, of all this, to remind us of the very devastating news we had on the 7th of July. Why? Majority leader is already calling for an election. We are just now aware that he's also the electoral commissioner. He made a submission on the floor. The speaker ruled him out. He still did not see the insensitive nature of losing a friend and a colleague who had to fight and get into this parliament. All that majority leader is thinking about is an election. All that the majority leader is thinking about is to show to the whole world that he, leader of parliament, of government business, is insensitive. It's very sad. We are here and we are wondering, do we have even friends? We are wondering, do we have colleagues? Does he think about anybody's health? Does he think about the family of our very lovely friend, Ernest Yakumi, and colleague? It doesn't matter. In fact, it matters not whether you are an MPP or an NDC. But we've always thought and believed that we cared for ourselves. We are crying, we are thinking, we are mourning. And the majority leader comes today to tell us that MPP has already had posters out there, when in fact and in truth, that is not the case. This is so... we are lost for words. And we need you to understand that this walkout we have staged is not out of disrespect to the Right Honorable Speaker in particular, because he even directed him as to the way to go, but he was still insisting. And we call on you to let you understand that out of deference to the Ghanaian people, you should also call on the majority leader to cease from being insensitive.
Kweku, I still have you with me. Has Parliament formally been informed that that particular seat is vacant?
Not yet. In fact, that is the guidance the Speaker is giving, that until the family informs Parliament with a death certificate in writing that a member of Parliament has died, it will be a bit difficult for the Clerk to Parliament to act on his instructions to write to the Electoral Commission to, within 60 days, organize a by-election starting from the date of the confirmed death of the MP. Mahama holds a contrary view. He says that death is a notorious fact and the public is fully aware. It's been 9 days since the Member of Parliament was confirmed to have passed on, and the Clerk to Parliament was actually at the family home of the former MP. He was informed with the exact details, the hospital and other things. And so in his view, it would appear that the precedent prior has all been satisfied and the clerk can do that. But the Speaker of Parliament did not want further conversation on that. He asked that to be ceased. He will give consequent directions to the Clerk of Parliament, perhaps to follow up with the family for certain documentation necessary to be given to them. But the Speaker's ruling today is clear. Until the family have...
That there is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, giving us a blow-by-blow account of what happened in Parliament just a while ago. Let's move on to other stories, because Ghana's fight against corruption has faced renewed scrutiny following comments by former senior presidential aide and stalwart of the NDC, Dr. Tony Aidoo, who has sharply criticized the office of the special prosecutor, questioning its competence and impact in combating corruption in the country. In an interview with Joy News' Kojo Brace on the AM show, Dr. Tony Aidoo said that the special prosecutor, quote, doesn't seem to know what he's doing, unquote. Well, his comments add to growing concerns about the effectiveness of the OSP since its establishment to investigate and prosecute corruption and corruption-related offences in the country.
The goodwill that the people of Ghana gave the NDC is going to be dissipated. It will have to be the inaction on Galamsey issues and corruption issues. And I don't trust the special prosecutor. He talks big, he talks small. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's a shame. Is he protecting them? Look at the mess he made of the Stalwart case. Look at even the prosecution of this guy from this MC candidate. He's never succeeded in any prosecution on corruption. So what are we paying him for?
But he can prosecute. But if the judges disagree with him, there's an extent to which he can...
If you build up your case, the judges will not ignore evidence. The judge will not ignore the evidence. But if you fail to present a convincing evidence, then that's what you're going to get from the judgment.
So you believe he's not been able to build his case as well?
No, I don't think he's building his case as well. He talks too much.
What would be your advice then?
That's my advice. Talk less, do more.
And the criticism comes amid ongoing efforts by the OSP to investigate and prosecute cases of alleged corruption involving public officials and institutions. Well, the OSP announced earlier today that it has charged 7 individuals and 3 companies before a high court in Accra, alleging multiple counts of extortion and money laundering. Well, the charges stem from a corruption scheme within the National Petroleum Authority. While the office has been active in pursuing some high-profile cases, Dr. Aidoo's comments highlight the challenges and questions about the OSP's strategy and impact in tackling corruption. Well, Caleb Ziblim of our research desk joins us with some data for some analysis on the work of the OSP so far. Caleb, what do the numbers tell us about how active the office has been in recent years?
Yes, Ken. So since 2022, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has received at least 484 complaints. And in the first 2 years, that's 2020 and 2021, the office investigated only 2 cases each year. So just 4 in total for the first 2 years. Things started to pick up in 2022 with 13 investigations. That rose to 19 in 2023 and 27 in 2024. But this year, just the first half of 2025, he has initiated 70 investigations. That's more than any previous full year. So this means that there are at least 133 cases being investigated by the OSP at the moment.
Okay, let's talk about prosecutions and convictions. Has the OSP started getting results?
So until the end of last year, the office did not secure a single conviction. But this year, there's a clear shift. So so far in 2025, there has been 7 convictions, and all of them have been secured through plea bargains. So this is the first time the Office of the Special Prosecutor is recording actual courtroom convictions since its establishment in 2019.
And what major cases should we be watching out for this year?
So there are several high-profile cases. One of them is the ongoing investigation into GRA's contract with SML. There's also there's also the money laundering case involving the former chief executive of the NPA, and that case attracting a lot of attention right now.
Okay.
Is the former secretary of the now defunct Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. He's facing corrupt-related charges and Galamsey charges as well. And the trial started on July 2nd, and we understand that one of the accused has actually offered a plea bargain which could strengthen the prosecution's case against Mr. Bisu.
Caleb, thank you very much. Meanwhile, anti-corruption campaigner Adam Senadu has urged the OSP to remain focused in the discharge of his work.
Facts are facts, and I think that we should not lend credence to this kind of narrative. I think it's also important that as Ghanaians and as citizens, we should know that part of our accountability mechanism is that when you are out of government, the microscope will be put to all the things that you've done.
Well, let's bring in Adam Senadu, who is joining us right now on the telephone lines. He's the co-chair of the Citizen Movement Against Corruption. Thank you very much for your time this evening. So, Dr. Tony Aidoo, you've heard him. He has accused the OSP of failing to secure a major political conviction. As someone in the fight against corruption, do you share his concerns?
Well, no. I think that Dr. Tony Aidoo is probably not abreast with the current facts. And probably a bit of the historical context is also lost on him. Perhaps we need to ask him which data sets he's referring to, since he's an M&E person. Let's not forget that until the last quarter of 2023, the OSP did not have its staffing. So until probably like October, November 2023, the institution itself was not fit for purpose. They probably had less than 15 personnel, and that reflects in the amount of work that was done 2021, 2022. I think they started out with 3 persons, and were just less than 15 in those first 2-3 years. It's not surprising, therefore, that we are seeing much more results 2024 getting to 2025. Then also, I recollect that Dr. Aidoo says he should talk less and do more. By the mandate, when we're designing Act 959, civil society was concerned that we have a plethora of anti-graft agencies, but they don't tell us what is going on. Most of the time, we don't get any feedback on tangibles, on cases that they are supposed to be handling. So we intentionally put in the clause where we say every 6 months, or even much more frequently than that, the special prosecutor should report to the good people of this country. So perhaps there's also a misunderstanding of the mandate that the OSP has.
Okay.
So as far as the facts are concerned, I'm not quite sure Dr. Aidoo got it right on this time.
And Adam, do you think that public confidence in the OSP has declined? And if so, what can the office do now to restore credibility?
I think that, on the contrary, public confidence is increasing. And I think the OSP should just keep focused, keep giving the facts on the cases they are handling. Let's not forget that they have two mandates. We seem to focus on one and not the other. One, yes, is the investigation, is the prosecution and retrieval of monies, but it's also the prevention of corruption. And a lot of the work they've done, if you take the GRA case where the benchmark system was improved, at the time, I remember GRA's inflows increased about 300% on the back of that, work done on the GRA. And so there are many cases that have then, as it were, set a precedent. We also have had the situation where, for the first time, people who are in government are being held accountable in numbers. And I think that's significant as a deterrent for those who want to engage in fraud and other corrupt practices.
Adam, is that to say that the OSP is being held to unrealistic expectations?
I think so. I think that the context is not well understood. You can't work on 400 cases with less than 20 staff over a 2-year period, and people are still expecting you to have cases in droves completed, concluded. I think from 2024 is when they were in a position to now start taking up more cases and deliver. I think this is a time where the OSP will be able to, as it were, deliver on its mandate and produce the results that Ghanaians are expecting.
Dem Senanu there. He's the co-chair of the Citizen Movement Against Corruption. Thank you very much. Now, imagine needing to use the toilet late at night, but your home has none. In Jamestown, that's the daily reality for many, including 23-year-old Evelyn, who walks long distances and pays each time nature calls. Well, some residents are even charged by their landlords per visit. Florence Ahudagbe reports for our Habitat series.
Jamestown is one of Ghana's oldest communities. 23-year-old Evelyn lives here with her fiancé and their young daughter. The wooden structure she calls home has no toilet.
Because we don't have washroom in this house, so we have to pay. You go outside and pay for it, then you can use the washroom. I've had a random story, but for that situation, you have to make sure you have money on you. If not that, you disgrace yourself. So the washroom that you don't have around or in this house there, it's a problem.
When nature calls, Evelyn must pay to answer every single time. And when the gates to public toilets are locked, desperation takes over.
All that I do is I make sure I have money on me so that I can use the washroom outside. Every day, anytime that I want to use the washroom. But as for this place, the woman used to lock it around 8 to 9. It's locked. So if you go there and it's locked, you have to move for it. Go to the marketplace to go and use that place.
Evelyn has come far. From sleeping on pavements outside a company building at Arena to this room she now calls home.
Sleeping outside. That was when I met my husband. He was sleeping outside there. That's where we used to sleep before the town. We got an amount of money, then we moved to the market.
But her story mirrors the silent struggles of thousands. According to the 2021 Population and Housing Census, 17.7% of urban households in Ghana still have no access to toilet facilities.
To my husband, after you'll be like, we don't pay any power, but it's not that. If I know a man, if you are not a man, become Sia, and if I know the befa, I want to say, I'm not going to be an also, then I need you home. But back what I can say, we for me, because I need to pay any toilet on the fee.
In Accra, paying rent does not guarantee dignity. In some homes, tenants must pay per use to answer nature's call or rely on neighbors if they are lucky.
I remember I took a drug and I was having a running stomach. So it was late at night. I came here, the woman has looked, so I have to rush to the marketplace. Then when I get there, the place too was full, so I have to wait. And I was standing, I was like, hey, ready? They didn't ever to me. It's in the good when you ask Hana. So the man there, the one taking the money, have to go and tell those inside to hurry up because there's someone outside.
Evelyn's struggle is not hers alone. It reflects a deeper failure in housing standards. It's time the state holds landlords accountable to provide the basic amenities like toilets in every rental home. Florence Ahodagbe, Joy News, Jamestown, Palladium.
That's the report from Florence there. Now, Ghana's fight against corruption has faced renewed scrutiny following comments by former senior presidential aide and stalwart of the NDC, Tony Aidoo, and who has criticized the office of the special prosecutor, questioning its competence about what that office does there. Remember, you can join the conversation on our WhatsApp platform, 055 11 11 997. Share with us what you think about the stories we've discussed with you so far. Now, Parliament is expected to take the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill 2025 through its final reading and possibly pass it into law before the House rises in August. Well, the bill seeks to establish the Ghana Scholarships Authority, an independent body to ensure transparent and equitable administration of government scholarships. But even before its passage, the proposed law is already stirring debate. Well, critics argue it lacks broader stakeholder consultation and contains loopholes that must be addressed. Well, responding to these comments, the chairman of Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Nochukotoi, insists significant consultations have already taken place. We'll hear from him pretty shortly. But first, let's hear from Dr. Asante of the Center for Democratic Development. We'll bring you that sound later, but in a yet-to-be-aired interview with my colleague Fostina Sarfo, Mr. Nochukotoi further emphasized that consultations are still ongoing and that feedback from stakeholders is welcome to help refine the bill before its final passage.
One of the biggest criticism for the bill is that there's been very little consultation and publicity even before it is passed by Parliament. How do you respond to that?
Oh, when the bill was laid on the 8th of this month, it was published on the website of Parliament House that people could present a memorandum. But that doesn't stop Parliament from continuing its consideration. So as and when we receive a consideration memorandum, we'll look at it. We have received a few, and on Tuesday we are going to meet those who have presented memorandum and then look at what criticism or suggestions they have. So we are only considering the bill now. We may not pass it today or pass it tomorrow. But it's at the consideration stage.
The second reading.
Yeah, that's the second reading. Yeah, we did the second reading yesterday.
Okay.
So we are now going for, or we've started the consideration of the bill.
Okay.
That's exactly what we are going to do today also. We'll continue with the consideration. Then Tuesday, we will meet the CSOs and other agencies that have interest in the bill, present their observations, and then where it is important or necessary, we take it on board.
That's a yet to be aired interview on the pause. Be sure to catch it tomorrow at 3 p.m. It's now time for business, and George Wiafe is in the studio. George, you told us yesterday about an emergency MPC meeting that carried some good news. Is that what you're bringing us?
Well, it looks like that engagement, yes, is going on, but it will not result in a decision being taken on the policy rate, which was expected before this meeting actually started today. We'll be getting you more details on that one. The country's trade surplus hits $5.6 billion for the first 6 months of this year, as current count also revealed some significant improvement for that period. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. And thanks, and also President Hebal and Chaco.
Momo. It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Mr. Insurance claim no.
It has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
Mr. Kalono, we are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying reset to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Wunsaka.
Ama, big news! Star Oil is now the largest oil marketing company in Ghana.
Wow, that's huge!
Yes, the largest distributor of petroleum products in Ghana. Ever since I switched to Star Oil, my car runs smoother. The fuel lasts longer, no strange engine sound, just clean, powerful performance.
Oh, same here. I used to refill every 3 days until I switched to Star Oil. Now, my fuel lasts way longer. I don't know what magic is inside, but my car loves it.
Exactly. It's not magical. From Accra to Kumasi to Tamale, Star Oil day everywhere with 240 filling stations and counting. That's why more Ghanaians are choosing Star Oil.
Hey, my tank is almost empty. I am heading to Star Oil right now before the queue starts.
I'm right behind you, Ama.
We set out with a mission to serve better and lead boldly. We're proud to say we are Ghana's #1 oil marketing company. To our loyal Star savers across the country, thank you for believing in us. Star Oil, quality and affordable fuels for all.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cavity protection. This advert is FDA approved.
Every mosquito standing run away. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, me se come tonton preko. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die, e demo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama has revealed that the Emergency Monetary Policy Committee meeting will not result in a decision on the policy rate. The central bank today began an emergency meeting to review developments in the economy. Now, there have been strong expectations that the gathering will see the regulator possibly cut the rate by some significant margin. But speaking at the UPSA APSA quarterly banking roundtable program, the governor says this will not happen.
These days we are quite busy. We are busy because it has to do with the US dollar, isn't it? It's a daily fight. The MPC, you heard about the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee. They had to meet this morning in an emergency meeting, not to set or do anything about the policy rate, but just to review the numbers and also take stock of some of the developments in the markets to get a sense of what is going on and what our options are ahead of their meeting. The main meeting is in 10 days. And so from morning, we were at that. We just closed from that meeting. And I decided to rush here, share a few thoughts with you. After that, I'll go back to work on the statement that will be issued later today. It is not a policy statement. It is not what we normally do. Many people were thinking we're going to do something about the monetary policy rate. That was not the objective. It was just to look at the numbers ahead of the main meeting that will start in 10 days' time.
That's the governor of the bank. The governor has also charged the public to work to the central bank to help root out those who are into the business of fake currency printing in the country.
Breaking part is that I'm told a lot of foreigners are involved in that, right? They are counterfeiting Kwame Nkrumah's CD. The CD he introduced, they are counterfeiting it. They are destroying it. And something needs to change when it comes to preserving the worth of the CD. We'll do our part. At the Bank of Ghana, we will. That's what we are paid to do on the daily, doing the wrong thing. Just send and we will move in. Now, currency stability does not occur by chance. It is through policy, through disciplined coordination, and the ability to inspire confidence in the future path of the economy. And in recent months, the Ghanaian city has experienced one of its most remarkable rounds in memory.
And that is the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. Still at the program, the chief executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, has expressed optimism about the Ghana city and prospects for the next half of this year.
As banks, we work with the business community and even individuals who want to be able to see in the horizon and plan properly so they can take the right business decisions. And if you are planning and the currency is throwing your plans off guard, then it becomes difficult to have any sense in the planning process. And that is why we are excited about the level of stability that we have seen now. Yes, appreciation is good, but if we appreciate to a level and we are able to stabilize, for 6 months to 1 year, then we would say that as bankers, as business community, it becomes something that we can hold for planning purposes.
And Johnny West, the chief executive of the Association of Banks. Now, the country is now earning more from its exports than the amount it spends on importing what it needs. The development has resulted in an improved trade surplus. For the first 6 months of this year, there is more in this report.
The development has resulted in the trade surplus to reach $5.6 billion ending June this year. On the other hand, the current account surplus has also widened to $3.4 billion. The Bank of Ghana has also revealed that the development has resulted in investor confidence picking up strongly during the first 6 months of this year due to the latest IMF verdict on the economy. The governor, for instance, has maintained that he expects all these to have an impact on Ghana's credit ratings in the coming month.
That is a business desk report. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission is taking some extra measures to ensure that the public appreciates its regulations as well as activities on the capital market. It has therefore taken its time with the securities program to the Volta region to engage participants in that area on what it calls its nationwide program.
This program is one of our flagship programs, which we have given a name called The Time with the SEC. It is our investor education program in the sense that we have this program to let the public know what we do in terms of our work as security industry player or regulator. We're in hold today to educate the public. We have targeted two groups of the public. The first one being the students in the senior high schools. We think that if they know about what is investment and the benefit of investment as early as possible, it will help in developing in terms of the capital market so that we can raise more money for the businesses to have capital to grow. And that will also lead to the development of the entire country.
And that is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. James Kluche Aveji. And on PM Express Business Edition tonight, we'll be engaging players in the private sector. Now, we understand that the Minister of Finance, that is next Thursday, would actually present the mid-year review of budget estimates. But as the Minister goes to Parliament next week to do this exercise, what are the views of the private sector when it comes to the exercise in terms of the expectation on the mid-year review? Be engaging the chief executive of the Organization of Banks, that is joining, also an economist, Dr. Aidoo Osusakodi, and also from the trading sector, Clement Boateng. He is the first vice president of the Ghana Union of Trade Association. As you get the thoughts of the private sector expectations ahead of this exercise by the Finance Minister, Dr. Atufosins, at 9 p.m. on Joy News and also on all our social media platforms. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. And let's do some sports.
Yes, George, we are now some 23 days to the Joy Sports Invitational. And guess what? Indeed, the stage is set for an exciting edition come August 9 at the University of Ghana Stadium. And today, the Chief of Staff of the Republic, Julius Deborah, has confirmed his participation in the event. And he disclosed this following a visit to him by the leadership of Multimedia.
Countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite each and every one of you to be part of this year's Joy Invitational Tournament 2025, which is happening on August 9th. Trust me, you got to be there because we all need to keep fit to enable us to have a healthy country. I'm going to be there, part of the aerobic move, and of course, I also kick some balls around. So I just can't wait to see you all there at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, right? Yes. Great. So we'll all be there.
Yeah, that's Julius Deborah, the Chief of Staff there. So he's going to be there. He's going to be part of the aerobics. He's going to be part of the football session. And it's a big invite he's thrown to corporate Ghana to make sure that at least your company is on board the Joy Sports Invitational. At the moment, we've got about over 20 companies haven't registered, so we are waiting to see more companies jump on it, because he also urged the participating companies to leverage the event to network and keep their staff healthy.
My thing will be to encourage all Ghanaians, especially those from the corporate world, that we can't just work without having a little bit of fun. Sometimes you need this kind of opportunity to interact with people, network, and and make things happen. And so I'm really looking forward to be part of this. I feel very proud to actually be part of it.
Yeah, so the Chief of Staff has indicated what he's going to be part of.
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah.
Yes, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Evans indicated that he's going to take part in the 100 meters event.
Do you remember when he took part?
Yes,
how
he said
exhausted he was last year.
He said he's coming for revenge against Muftana Bila.
Really?
Because Muftana Bila won him to that race.
Is there going to be 200 meters?
There will be 200 meters.
Okay, I'm part of the 200 meters.
200 meters, yeah. I'm not sure what Papani is going to do and what Kwetenete is going to do. But
and what are you going to do?
We are organizing the event.
And aside from organizing the event, which sport are you taking part?
Well, we are organizing the event. It's part of the sport. But I'm telling you, going to be standing next to the chief of staff for the aerobics. Also, I'll be in his team for the football. So you can imagine. But it's really exciting, and we are calling the companies to come and register.
Exactly.
If your company hasn't registered, you are missing out big time. August 9, University of Ghana Stadium. 23 days to go.
Musbah, thank you very much for bringing us the latest in sports. Let's take you to the presidency now, because President John Mahama has revealed plans for the construction of a new Accra-Kumasi Expressway, a major infrastructure project that will feature 6 lanes in each direction. Well, the project is set to begin next year, aiming to enhance transportation and connectivity between 2 of Ghana's key cities. He explained that the project is entirely different from the ongoing dualization works and is expected to be completed before he leaves office in 2029.
Hundreds of market women at the KGT market screamed in excitement as they welcomed President Mahama shortly after he wrapped up an inspection of ongoing works on the second phase of the KGT market project. One of the market leaders expressed confidence that President Mahama would deliver. She says, "We are amazed by what you've already done for traders. Thank you." In his address, President Mahama assured the traders that those who are affected by the project would be prioritized once it's completed. Later, at a thank you thereby held at the Jubilee Park, President Mahama reiterated his commitment to completing key development projects in the Ashanti region, including the KGT Market Phase 2, the Swami Interchange, and the Krofro Market.
Before I came here, I visited the market and I spoke to the contractors, and we're going to accelerate work on it. And by the grace of God, next year we'll be able to go with Otumfuo Setutu II and open that market. Under the big push, we're going to continue the Swami Interchange and complete it. In addition, the long-awaited Accra-Kumasi Expressway is on course. Feasibility and design work are in progress. And God willing, we shall cut the sword early next year for the start of this iconic project.
Let's bring in our presidential affairs correspondent Maxwell Akbagba, who is with the president. And Maxwell, we know that President Mahama has also renewed his promise to complete some more stalled projects, including the Sewa Regional Hospital project. Give us a brief about this.
Yes, Kenneth. So the hospital, originally designed to ease the patient load on the Comfort-Noche Teaching Hospital and improve healthcare delivery across the region, has become a symbol of political start and stop. Though much of the physical structure appears complete from afar, the president committed to completing all abandoned projects in the region.
Projects we will continue and complete in this region include the Afari Military Hospital and the Sewa Regional Hospital. We'll also complete the Comfort-Noche Teaching Hospital Maternity and Children's Block. We'll rehabilitate the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, and we will continue and complete the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Medical Center.
And some residents have also been reacting to this promise by the president. Listen.
Sebasa waka me krana yanu se famen entina kam na famen kodru agogo no na misisi munyina eya tiada na sepanya minhira no.
So what she is saying is that as a pregnant woman, this comes as good news to her, because if she is about to deliver her baby, she don't have to move all the way to Agogo to deliver her child. She just pick her bag and then go to the Sewa Regional Hospital, which is just some few minutes away from her house.
Na bedru flam so no na wable enti yera Mahama aba se obeye ye hospital ma yepe.
What she's also saying is that she's grateful to the president for the promise to complete the Sewa government hospital. She's hopeful that any other person who needs health care will be able to get it fast from when the hospital project is complete.
We stay on the presidency, but this time to the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, who has reminded board members of institutions that board membership is not merely about prestige, but more importantly about providing clear direction and oversight. Speaking at the presidency during a courtesy call by the Boardroom Governance Institution, he emphasized that without strategic direction, institutions risk collapsing.
Making people understand that if you are made members of a board, it's not just the prestige of being there, but see yourself as the originators of the sources of the institution. Because what management does usually is premise or based on the directions given by the board. And so if members of a particular board are not so familiar with that emboldening power to give direction to the institution will crumble. And so as a nation, once in a while, we have to remind ourselves, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? President Mahama intends that all the things that we've been doing, where we feel we are relaxing, we should reinvigorate it. And so we are mindful that various institutions are having orientation programs for their board members. But we encourage a lot of people to take part in this national summit where synergies will be drawn, where good lessons will be learned, where others will share international good practices, which will enable you run your board effectively.
That's Julius Debra, who's the Chief of Staff. Now, a 7-year-old boy was left humiliated after he soiled himself, all because a public toilet attendant rejected his 520 pesos coins. It's part of a growing trend in Accra's markets where traders and service providers increasingly reject the country's smallest legal tender, forcing prices to be rounded up. But lawyers warn it is illegal and offenders risk up to 3 years in jail. Jamima Ando explores the fading value of Ghana's coins in this feature, Vanishing Pesos.
Fozia Ibrahim sells spoons at the Kingsway Market. But recently, her concerns have stretched far beyond the goods she sells. A few weeks ago, she handed her 7-year-old son 3 20 peso coins to use the public toilet near their home at Abusokai Zongo. What followed left her in shock.
Me bejuma ana me ma me ba no 20 pesos miensa say ya baby so de na ofa nko me ko na kwa ndi scanner ba so okoya pam no say ye ndi scanner ento okọ toilet gu no fa no ma issues are order ne say.
Has the government said we shouldn't use the 5, 10 and 20 pesos anymore? Even customers now reject them as change. What do we do?
Fozia is not alone. At the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Mavis Kwanda has been selling coins for nearly a decade.
Now, many reject them. They are no longer accepted. The government hasn't said that, and it feels unfair.
At the Circle Lorry Station, the branch secretary, Ni Amponsa, says many drivers and bus conductors now refuse to accept the coins.
A lot of passengers, the drivers and those who sell here are always complaining. They don't refuse, but they reject it. The moment you give it to them, because it's not now usable. It's no more usable.
Director of Currency Management at the Bank of Ghana, Dominic Owusu, says the coins play a vital role in stabilizing the prices of goods and services.
In its absence, people will be rounding prices. The coins stay in circulation longer, and it helps us as a nation to save on printing notes.
Private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenini reveals individuals who reject them risk a jail term.
You could face 3 years in jail, or in addition to the jail term, you could face 700 penalty units. That's about 8,400 Ghana cedis. So you are not allowed to determine on your own, when the country has laws, determine that coins is a legal tender and you refuse it.
When this continues, it is the poor who suffer the most. In fact, the people who count every coin to survive. Without small change, they end up paying more for the same things. Jemima Ando's report read to you.
And that's it for Newsnight tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth, Gyasi. But we end the bulletin with this plea from a commercial transport operator to the Ghana Police Service and President Mahama about alleged bribe taken from them.
John Mahama, I say and Tia Diaso. I say Ghana police for Amamat for more Diaso and SSA.
John Mahama, you said we should reduce the transport fares, but the police officers have not reduced the amounts they take from us. When we load from here to Ejisu with 27 passengers, we end up giving monies to about 4 or 5 police officers during the journey. They are stationed at Achiakrum, in Suta Junction, Asutrin and Draben. They each take 5 cedis when we get to their post. When we calculate the total fare we accrue from the 27 passengers and deduct that from the 20 cedis we pay to the officers for each trip, how much will remain for us? We therefore ask the police officers to reduce the money they take from us by 1 cedi so that we can also reduce the fare we take.